Eine neue Fahrradiofolge ist da. Vielen Dank fürs Downloaden oder Streamen, wo immer ihr seid. Gleich geht's los mit Folge 134 vom 27. August 2019. Falls ihr euch über die Nummer wundert, das ist die interne Zählung unseres Podcasthosters, die wir ab jetzt einfach für unseren Podcast übernehmen. Diese Folge ist eine Interviewfolge mit mir, Hans, und Mikael Colville-Anderson, einem der einflussreichsten Fürsprecher des Radfahrens in der Stadt. Das Interview ist in englischer Sprache, aber sollte einigermaßen zu verstehen sein. Falls ihr dennoch Schwierigkeiten habt, könnt ihr das Transkript auf der Website nachlesen, auch in Englisch. Das könnt ihr euch aber locker übersetzen lassen. Ab 2006 hat er in seinem Blog Copenhagenize Fotos von Menschen veröffentlicht, die in ihrer Alltagskleidung Fahrrad fahren, vor allem in Kopenhagen. Frauen im Kostüm auf dem Weg zur Arbeit, Männer im dicken Wintermantel mit den Kindern im Lastenrad. Später hat er eine Agentur für Stadtplanung gegründet, die Copenhagenize Design Co, und Städte auf der ganzen Welt dabei beraten, wie sie für die Menschen und nicht fürs Auto planen können. Oder so ähnlich. Letztes Jahr hat er sich dort verabschiedet, um sich auf andere Projekte zu konzentrieren. Was er gerade macht, was er von E-Bikes und Scootern hält, warum Städte für Menschen vor allem Städte ohne Autos sind und warum Nichtfliegen keine Lösung für das Klimaproblem ist, das erzählt er mir in unserem Interview, das wir bei der Radcom in Köln geführt haben. Es ist übrigens unser drittes Interview, wobei sich Mikael an die ersten 2 nicht erinnern kann. So geht das, wenn man mit so vielen Menschen spricht. Noch kurz eine Bitte. Wenn ihr diesen Podcast gut findet, dann bewertet uns mit 5 Sternen bei Apple Podcasts oder bei iTunes. So werden wir besser gefunden und können weiter Folgen für euch produzieren. The last time we met, you were very, can I say, you didn't like e-bikes. How do you think about them now, today?
Oh, the same. I mean, it's funny when you get labeled on the internet, you know, oh, he hates e-bikes. You said it differently, but no, I'm just an e-bike skeptic. I have an article called The E-Bike Skeptic where I explain all of this stuff rationally. Let's just be rational. That's all I want is a rational, intelligent conversation and not the hype of the e-bike industry. That should not dominate. The hype of the car industry should not dominate transport conversations in cities either. Thanks, Shin. So I just think we should still be rational. And even after all these years, you know, we still see everything I said 3 or 4 years ago in my article. It's still the case. Accidents are increasing. You know, record high number of killed cyclists in the Netherlands. Right, incredibly safe in the Netherlands. But now they've had more people killed on bikes than in cars. It's e-bikes doing it. Right, and I can't remember if I wrote the article when I met you last time or not. Okay. I add things to it once in a while, but it's still the same conversation. I mean, e-bikes, they're there, you know, but they should not dominate the conversation. They should be for the 5 or 10% of the population who need them. Maybe some disabled people, maybe some elderly, or maybe somebody who has to go far, but they don't work in cities because they go too fast. You know, the average speed in Copenhagen and Amsterdam is 16 kilometers per hour. An e-bike going 25. It's that messes with the flow and it messes with safety. So I'm still skeptical, and I think, I know also I'm old enough to know it's a hype, and then rationality starts to kick in when the city of Groningen in the Netherlands. They're building separate e-bike lanes. So regular bikes, normal bikes, and e-bikes. They're physically separating them because they're having too many accident problems. So a lot of cities are going to go, wait, we have to do that? Oh, okay, let's maybe not talk about it. Subsidizing e-bikes. So I think rationality is coming back to the conversation, but I have the same opinion.
Okay, next thing, scooters.
Yeah. 2018, everywhere I spoke in Europe, well, even in North America, was, question? What about scooters? It was like, what about scooters? Everywhere I went, my God. Yeah. And back then I'm going, I don't know yet. I don't like them. But let's see when the data comes in, right? And then now we're seeing the data come in. Oh, it's not good, you know. 5 people killed and 280 seriously injured in France last year. Like, the French are going, whoa, hang on, that's a big number. I was just in Paris like 2 days ago. It's like they're everywhere because their bike share system has failed. They haven't delivered the 20,000 new bikes, so people needing to get around. And so yeah, they just came in Denmark in January legally on the bicycle infrastructure. Everybody was against it, except for the one right-wing politician who said, I don't care. He didn't listen to anybody's advice. And what's interesting in Copenhagen is you have so many bikes, and we have a flow, we have a system that works. So these people are messing with our system. So there's pushback already. It's really interesting. I was so fucking funny. It was so hilarious. Morning rush hour. So you got like 50 cyclists at that light. And a young guy, 20-something, a little bit chubby, he sort of went up along the side to get up to the front. And as he got to the front, he just bumped a guy. Not hard, he just like elbows bumped. And this guy, he's like 35 or something. Bump, and he looks, and he just snapped. He was having a bad day. And he went, tell your mother to buy you a fucking bicycle. Gee, fucking man. And 30 people were just like laughing our heads off. And this poor kid didn't, but I mean, whatever. Like, that's how we're reacting to them. But you have other cities where there's not a lot of bikes, like in Spain or whatever. People are going, oh God, they're irritating. But the accident rates are coming in, and I think the rationality will return to the conversation. People will discover, oh my God, I almost died. I'm going to walk again or get a bike. I think that's going to happen. It's kind of like Darwinian theory, right? But I was interviewed in a Danish newspaper, one of our national papers. The journalist did a big, long article about these e-scooters, and interviewed me about what I thought and how I speak. So he knew he was going to get some good quotes. But where is it? Let us show you. It's my favorite headline ever of all the interviews I do. I got to frame it. So it says, that's my quote, and it filled half the page of the newspaper. We have designed a safe bicycle city, and now we're fucking with it. It's like, right there. But that's what we're doing. Like we actually have designed something very, very beautiful. And if you have a good design, you don't mess up with the design. You keep your design, right? So I'm not a fan. It's only young people using it. I really look at who's using it. It's like it's lazy pedestrians, lazy young people in their 20s using it. It's nobody else.
But if you have a city that hasn't been designed yet, don't you think there may be a chance to have to achieve like a critical mass of movement without cars by whatever?
Yeah, but like motorists are not leaping out of their cars and onto e-bikes in any really decent number that makes me think differently. And motorists are not hopping onto scooters. It is lazy young people who are lazy pedestrians who, they do this in San Francisco and Silicon Valley. I want to be part of the trend, right? That it's not, a car light city. I prefer that phrase. Is the goal, absolutely. But like I said on the stage, like, what is a good street? It's a street where people get healthy using it and they don't die. They get healthy using it, right? And they're safe. Are we safe with like electric scooters flying through our cities with these small wheels on a cobblestone city like Köln or many? No, it's a gimmick, man, and it'll disappear. I'm really convinced of that. Like I see, but the hype of e-bikes is falling. They'll still be there. They're not going to disappear. But I think the scooters it'll be like 2018, 2019. Let's see what happens next year. I think there'll be a lot fewer of them because like a lot of cities are getting tired of them because it's not just mobility. It's also they're a pedestrian hazard. Man, in Paris just 2 days ago, like they're everywhere. There's like 11 operators and they're in the middle of the sidewalk, and you got old people, you got handicapped people, wheelchair users. I mean, like, people are going to figure out really quick that it's not a great idea.
So do you think the companies that put scooters on the streets now, they are as I spoke to them, they are already like having newer models, larger wheels, wider wheels, more sturdy, so they don't die after 30 days. Do you think they might like adapt and bring bicycles, e-bikes, or whatever, and just because their goal is moving people and having them pay for it? Do you think they might just use that as a kind of a Trojan horse to get into the city?
Isn't there something fundamentally wrong with venture capital companies paying us to move around our city? Is that really, maybe that's a whole ethical issue that we really are not discussing very often? I buy a bike, I pay for repairs. I don't have to pay anybody anything. I am paying somebody in Silicon Valley to move through a European city, right? Or even if I was American living in New York, I'm paying somebody to move. That's just like, what the fuck with that? Like, and is that the future? Like, are they going to start charging me to walk in my city, you don't have to pay for sidewalks now, or, this sidewalk is sponsored by, Google. So you have to, on your phone, it's like, ding, they take like 1 cent if you, I don't know, where are we going with this, right? I shouldn't have to pay to use my city. I should just be able to use it as I see fit and not pay anybody. Walk, ride a bike, boom, that's the beauty of bikes is that, with an e-bike, you're taking lithium from Bolivia. You're taking like batteries from China, like this, this whole global kind of, economic thing. I don't really, I shouldn't have to do that, right? If I buy a bike, I don't pay anybody. I pay whatever brand of bike that is, right? A Danish bike, that's a company. They make some money, boom, they can make more bikes. Here, I'm paying like, I'm sucking lithium out of the Bolivia has like 85% of the world's lithium resource. Bolivia? I think it's Bolivia. Whatever. There's a whole ethical issue. Should I pay to move around my city? No. Right? And we shouldn't make it such a trend that people don't actually think about that. Oh, yeah, I'm going to get a scooter. Okay, who's getting that money? It's not your city. It's not, a lot of these operators don't even pay to use the city, right? The city just lets them in, and nobody benefits. It's only a hazard. It's only reduced health benefits because they're not walking anymore. It's just kind of like, other people get the money, and your life is your personal life is worse because of it. And we should be contributing positively to our cities, right? We should be actively, becoming healthy, and we know how to do that, right? We have other ways of doing that, walking and cycling, for example, right? Wow, I've never even thought about that. Like, yeah, I'm paying. People are paying to use their own city, and they're paying somebody where the city, they don't even benefit.
Yeah. Okay. There's one other in Cologne and in the Netherlands and in Germany. There's one company that's quite active called Swapfeeds. Do you know them? Maybe. Pardon?
I know, I know what Swapfeeds means.
Yeah, maybe you saw some bikes in Cologne. They have blue tires in front.
Yeah, I know.
And they are very popular with students because it's like lending a bike. So you get to keep it for yourself.
Yeah.
You lease it. Yeah, you lease it. It costs for students it's about €17, I think, per month.
Yeah.
And if it's broke, they fix it. If it gets stolen, you pay a little fee and you get a new one. What do you think? Is that a good way to bring bicycles to people?
Yeah, it's just a bike share system. That's all that is, and that's in 1,500 cities. It's a different version. They've had that in Strasbourg in France for years. Like most of the bikes you see in Strasbourg, which is a very good bicycle city, 25%, 30%. There are so many of them, and you can take it like on a short trip, or you can lease it for a month or 6 months if you're a student. Yeah, so fine, that's fine. That's just bike share, in a different format. The Dutch have their OV-fiets, where you get a bike at a train station, A to A bike share, as opposed to A to B. nobody else can do that because the Dutch have such a densely populated country with so many, such a big train network and lots of train stations. So that's not even a transferable model even to Denmark. In Denmark, we design our trains to take bikes on board. The Dutch don't want bikes on board because they have so many people moving on trains. So, different. There's transferable and not transferable. But that idea, swapfiets, yeah, fine.
It's just, it's convenient. It's in that way, it's modern probably. Maybe I think they even got dealers on board that like fix the bikes.
Yeah. Well, back to one thing you said, like, Lyft, Uber, Lyft. Now they're going into bike share. I think Uber is too.
They jump.
They're big in Paris now and stuff. E-bikes, but or pedal X or whatever they're called. Yeah. So yeah, of course, they got venture capitalist money that they have to. They got to keep profiting. So of course they're gonna. I don't really believe that they all really want to make the world a better place. They just want to make money. I don't really buy into that. I'm a little bit old school, maybe in that way, but. Uber and Lyft said, we're going to remove cars from the city. That's what we're going to do, right? And make money. All the data now indicates that there are more cars in cities after Uber and Lyft. When they move in, all the data shows that there's actually an increase in traffic, right? So, we got everything these venture capitalist people and their companies do, come on, there's big money behind it. You got to question the ethics of it right from the beginning.
Well, in this prospectus they published for the when they went public, they wrote that the Uber cars, many of the rides are under 3 miles, about 50% or so, and the Uber drivers hate those drives because they don't earn money. They have to ride there. They have to ride there. They have to ride back. And apparently they speculate on replacing those rides with bikes and scooters and what they call it new mobility.
Meaning people are making money off of you getting around your city. That's all new. Oh, that's a good one. New mobility. Yeah, it's like citizens paying to do what they did for 7,000 years.
Well, and. I think that if you listen to them and they are quite euphoric, they tell you that 20 years of bike advocacy is sort of wasted because by bringing such a mass of new mobility into the cities, the cities are forced to adapt, forced to build infrastructure, and they also say that. Say Uber will pay for infrastructure or pay for like parking and things like that. So, what do you think of that?
Show me where they're paying for it and what kind of infrastructure they design before I comment. You know what I mean? Like, what are they going to build? I mean, what we know now is we need a bike infrastructure, right, to move a lot of people. Oh, now we're going to need separate e-bikes, and then we're going to maybe need scooters and e-bikes together. Like, where are we going to? It's hard enough to find space for intelligently designed bicycle infrastructure that's 100 years old, and now we got to start adding new lanes. So yeah, if that eats into the cars, fine. But we still have to separate motors from non-motors, and and what we see too many cities is they allow the scooters and the e-bikes on the regular bicycle infrastructure, and we're already seeing that is causing a lot of traffic safety problems. So yeah. Let me see it, Google, let me see where they're going to build it, and what they're going to do. I think if you think about a city's responsibility is public health, right? We have the bicycle. It's a magical pill for solving so many problems, right? And what is an e-scooter? It's somebody getting lazier and, not fulfilling their responsibility as a citizen to take care of their health, right? So we're enabling people to be lazier. And I don't think that should be a goal for any city. So let's see what they build and where they build it and what they do before I get irritated with them.
So you're not working with Copenhagenize anymore. Are you like a freelance? Or what's your job now? Are you working? But you're still working with cities.
Not really. I stopped in February because I'd been staring at bikes for 10 years, and I needed to start. I have so many other ideas that I needed to, start working on. I'm not doing anything. I have a TV series that takes up a lot of my time, right? The Life-Size City, and I do a lot of keynotes. So that's what I do at the moment. And then I'm waiting for one big project with a city or a developer. I'm talking to some developers who really want to modernize their new development where nothing's built yet, where I can go in early and help them plan the development based on desire lines, based on, original urban planning, people, making the desire lines in the street or whatever. So I'm waiting for I will look for one really big visionary project that the world has never seen. That's what I want to do now, and I'm working on it. I can't tell you any more than that, but for now I did the TV series and my keynotes and meeting people like here, and it's amazing. So I like doing that.
So this TV series, is that available somewhere to stream?
No, in Canada. Or if you have a VPN, you can go anywhere, right? But so no, it's a Canadian broadcaster, and then it's being sold to other countries. So it's in 13 countries now, and it's coming on Servus, the Red Bull channel, in beginning of July. And I think they're broadcasting to the German language countries from Servus in Austria. I'm waiting to hear exactly, but I think that's what they said. So it should be available for streaming on their website. I'll probably be dubbed because that's what you do in Germany, but in Austria. But yeah, it's amazing to see what's happening around the world. Citizens rising up and saying enough is enough. Boom, let's change the urban landscape. Let's show the politicians what we want instead of just doing what they tell us to do. So it's really a fascinating age.
How many films did you, or how many what's it called? Episodes are there?
We're filming season 3 now, so there's 2 seasons, so 12 episodes, and now we're already in the middle of season 3. So I just go to cities all over the world and try and find what makes them life-sized. It's really hard to translate the title. It's an awesome title in English, but in the French television called it Cities at the Height of Men. And in Italy, it's Stories from the City of the Future. And in Finnish, it's People Cities, Ihmisen kaupunki. So whatever, but it's really showing the world. I want the people watching it going, why don't I do that in my neighborhood? Honey, let's do this. Let's go let's take back the street and make some safe areas for our kids to play or whatever. So I'm curating amazing stories and hopefully enabling other people to also do the same.
I saw you're doing a podcast as well.
Oh God, yeah. I love it. I love it. It's just I have no time to edit. I have all of this. I mean, I travel all the time, and in my network there are amazing people, and with strong voices and important projects and visions. So I'm meeting them anyway, and I'm talking to them, so why not just record the conversations was the basic idea. The problem is I have 10 episodes recorded, and I have no time to edit. I come from the film industry, so I can edit video like that. But audio, oh my God, I don't have the patience for it. I really have to, being an audio journalist, like a radio journalist, I just discovered, okay, that's not really my style. I need to see images. So I'm trying to talk to somebody in the States who has a podcast production company about how maybe they can take the material and produce it. So I have 4 episodes, but it's all about urbanism. It's all these people who are thinking differently or doing amazing projects. So it's kind of an extension of the TV show. I'm curating all of these voices.
Actually, I haven't heard into them yet, but I saw one only very shortly because I only discovered it yesterday.
Oh, right.
And there's one episode about skating, building for skating, and actually I know skaters in city planning, so they infiltrate the city. I haven't listened to your episode yet, but in Stuttgart, for example, there's one guy, and whenever they build something, he secretly slips in skatable parts.
Cool. Well, that episode that I did, Skateboard Urbanism, it's because Malmö in Sweden It's the only city in the world with an official skateboard consultant. He works for the city, and he's an old skater. He's like maybe, I don't know, late 40s or something. I don't know how old he is. Just looks like a surf dude from California, this Swedish guy. But man, talking to him, it's not just like, skating's cool, man. Let's skate everywhere, yo. He's Swedish, so they have, it's pretty cool. He's saying, no, these kids, they don't play team sports. They're not good at football. They don't, so they want to skate. And they find a voice, they find a way to express themselves through skateboarding. And so we have to design the city for them. Otherwise, they go off and do bad stuff, right? Because they don't feel like they're a part of the city. So if you did redesign a square in Malmö, as an architect, here we are, here's the plan. Okay, that's cool, but go talk to Gustav. And Gustav says, you can't skate that. That's crap. You have wood on your benches. To skate, you need an edge. You need, granite or concrete. And you go back and redesign it better. Or, some places they don't want to be able to skate because there's too many. So they actually tactically design the city for inclusion, social inclusion.
So they don't put bowls on the banks?
No, they don't. Skate stoppers are called. Yeah. Apparently, I learned in the episode. No. Some places they will use bad design. Not bad design, but like they'll have wooden benches with the edges like the table here. And skaters will look at that going, I can't grind along that edge, so I'm not going to do that. So they actually use design to, influence their behavior. But then they give them an awesome spot over there where it's all, the surface is perfect for skating, and even the space. This guy's talking about like the space between those tiles, right? It has to be 0.5, 0.05, whatever. He has all the data about how to design skate-friendly spots. So over there, they're going to make it awesome. Here, a lot of people maybe sit here, and so they will design it so that skaters won't skate here. So it's just so fascinating. And he talks about how, Malmö is leading the world in also gender inclusion, how to get more girls to skate because it's really a male-dominated culture. And so they're really actively, and they have a big Malmö skate competition every year. It's pretty world famous. So they're the first place they said girls and boys compete together. It's just skateboarding. It's not a 100-meter run where the man's going to win because physically men are stronger. No, girls and boys can compete. They're not like the girls' final at 10 in the morning, but then the boys' final at 5. It's like everybody go together. Equal pay, equal prize money and everything. So, yeah, it's really cool. Cool episode. It's also like, that's what I want to do with the podcast is like, who's talking about that? I'm not a skater. Right? I see skaters in my city, and I think that's cool. But so, wait, there's people actually designing cities for skateboarding, and why doesn't every city do that instead of only putting up skate stoppers everywhere, right?
Do you mind if I talk to him?
No, you can. No, fine. I can.
If I, copy your episode?
No, that's fine. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, speaking of people in the city, apparently our mayor, you didn't... I reckon your German isn't that good that you understood her.
I understood her.
Okay.
Numbers and stuff.
She said that she said that life in Cologne happens in the streets, but I wouldn't subscribe to that. I think life doesn't. Well, Cologne is better than Stuttgart, for example. But I think the car has moved people from the street. I think that's more what you said as well, isn't it?
Yeah, this is not a people-friendly city. My God, life goes on. Yeah, it goes on the edge of the street where we're trying to survive walking to the supermarket. That's where life happens in this city. God, man, this is a city where the planners worship at the altar of the automobile and everybody else is in irritation. You can see the way they design for pedestrians and bikes. Oh, these people. God, we have to make space for them now. It's like we're just like a little irritating mosquito, and we have to do something for them. That's what the city is. It's a car-centric city, and she was also saying, we've only been doing this for 1 year, so it's early. I'm going, you have 18% of your population on bikes. How many people take trains? How many people walk? Everybody walks at some point in the day. That's been going on since the 1960s. So I don't buy her. I liked her. She was a nice lady, and it was cool that she was in the room today. I never see that, but Man, that's bullshit. 1 year. I mean, come on. Yeah, they did one painted lane on Verloerstrasse. Like that's like the stupidest infrastructure, man.
This is dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah, I was riding there yesterday. It's like stupid. It's dangerous and stupid. I got photos. This is like, I was also tweeting like, Jesus Christ. Like your money went to that? Your taxpayer money, man. You're working hard and paying the city your money and that's what they give you? Oh, you should be insulted.
So if we... is there does it make sense to show people how life without cars would be like, or do we have to protest and get politicians to help?
Yes, to both of those. I mean, we don't talk about it anymore, you know. We don't invite... When we're making anti-smoking legislation to make smoking more difficult inside or in public spaces, we don't invite the smokers to the table and say, hey, what do you think about this? We say, fuck you. Boom. We do it, right? We have the big stick and not the carrot. And that's what we need to do with cars. Motorists, driving in cities is the new smoking, right? We don't talk to motorists about how we're going to modernize our transport and improve life in cities. They got to fucking figure that out themselves. That's not, you know, it's a transport dictatorship for 70 years in our cities in Europe since the 50s, you know, and dictatorships never change by conversation. Somebody loses their head, and that's what we need to do. Metaphorically, don't chop off people's heads. But metaphorically, heads have to roll, and we need a revolution, man. So yes, protesting, and Germany's got a great framework. You know, you have the possibility to do your Fahrrad and Entscheid, like the referendums, and you have what we see in Germany is like people are suing the cities for not living up to the EU demands for pollution levels. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was the guy who spoke in the morning.
Yeah, and I mean, so we can't do that in Denmark. I mean, we can't sue anybody. That's a very uniquely German thing, which is so irritating because it's so awesome to have that possibility. So, it's in your face protesting. That's hard because it's not the 70s. You don't get 100,000 people out on the streets like you could in the 70s for basically anything, right? Yeah, there's a protest. I'm in. Let's go. And so we need to do something different. We need to use other, more modern communication tools. Use a bit more humor or whatever. It's still tricky, but yeah, it's like, man, the activists I see around the world are so amazing. Like Riga, of all places, they got just world-class activists who will just paint bike lanes all the time. And Toronto, they did this in the early 2000s. There was like these, keep sneaking out at night, painting bike lanes, and the city's going, oh, for God's sakes, and they go out and remove them. And we have no space for bikes, they say in Riga, and the activists are going, we just painted a bike lane, and everybody's using it, and there's still space for the bus and the car. Like, we just showed you have space. Oh, no, and they just keep going. It's so awesome. So that kind of activism, standing at a protest waving a flag, that doesn't work. Modern activism, tactical activism, changing the physical street. And people are going, huh. It's so funny in Riga when people wake up in the morning, they're driving to work, and they're going, oh, there's a bike lane there now. And they actually stay out of the bike. You know what I mean? Like, they're going, huh, the city must have done that. And that kind of activism that bears more fruit than just, chanting at a demonstration on a square. That's 70s shit. I loved it. I mean, I wish we could do that. In the modern society, we can't. I support your cause, like on Facebook, and that's, we need to think differently about how to do it. So yeah, physical protest, engaging the citizens, saying, you know what, your neighborhood could be better. Your kids are breathing this air, man. Let's get, what can we do, Let's plant urban gardens illegally. Let's take away car parking spots and put in picnic tables, and the city will come and remove it, whatever. You're making a point.
Were you ever to Vitoria in Spain?
Vitoria.
Have
I been there? No, but I know
it's called Vitoria-Gasteiz.
Yeah.
It's in Basque, and they are a pedestrian city.
Yeah.
And they
bike friendly. Should we get another Coke, please? Zero? Yeah, thanks.
And they
actually no, dude. Sorry. Riesling, white wine.
No
Coke. Riesling and a double espresso. Super weird, but that's what I need right now. Thank you.
And I was invited there because they They built in a relatively short time span. They built loads of bike lanes and a new what's it called, tram line, and they said this needs a strong mayor, and if you have a mayor that wants this change and supports this change, you can do it. And what they did, they weren't too transparent. So they didn't speak to journalists very much, for example. So if they had plans, they didn't invite everybody and shared the plans and spoke about them. They kept them for themselves, because you said as well that people don't like the change, and this is what they didn't want to. So they use the Superblocks theme, for example, and so they just kept it for themselves and came out with their plans and told that to the citizens then, and they like it.
That's it. Everywhere, I talk to everybody everywhere. I have 5 different dialects, but I speak the same language. I talk to the activists. It's yeah, fuck cars, high five. Yeah, fuck cars. And then I talk to the planners in my work. I have to speak differently to them. Engineers, oh my God. It's like talking to your grandpa, talking to engineers. And then when I talk to politicians, I have a different dialect. I know what to say to them. I give them business model, make money, be famous, green city, tourism. But if I look at all the cities around the world that have transformed positively in a short amount of time, it is all top down. It's really depressing because I know so many activists who do good work. But you can push up, but it's still only going to happen if that politician goes, I get it. I went to Copenhagen. I understand. Let's go. Or in some cities, it's been the head of transport who convinces the mayor or whatever, right? But somebody high up in the hierarchy. Oh, I get it now, and boom, then you see change. It's really kind of frustrating that it still is that politician. Luckily, there are more and more, right? What do you see around the world? Vancouver. Oh my God, amazing mayor, really turning the pyramid on its head. All the transport money went to the car. If you imagine an upside down pyramid, car. Oh, we got some money left. They have a lot of public transport, trains, and then bikes and walking. And he went, no, we'll just turn that on its head, or we'll reverse the order. Pedestrians first, bikes, public transport, and if we got money left, we might do some car shit. I don't know. It's whatever's left will be for the cars. Mexico City, Buenos Aires, Seville, not so much Dublin anymore, but Dublin in the 2008, 2009. Paris.
Well, things can change easily. In Barcelona, it's.
Yeah. Sure.
Apparently, they have to be quick to build their what are they called, blocks, super blocks, because there are elections coming up.
Well, you mentioned super blocks in Vitoria-Gasteiz, where they kind of did it without being too transparent. Really, the first city that started anything in this conversation was in the 70s. It was Curitiba in Brazil. Curitiba, right? But Curitiba in Portuguese. And it was a dictatorship. Man, give me a dictatorship. Just for a year, we could transform it. And then we'll put it back to democracy, right? And it was just the head of traffic. He's going, we have congestion problems, public transport. So he was the guy who sort of invented the bus rapid transit, making bus lines dedicated. And he did it almost in a weekend. But it was a dictatorship, so nobody could complain, right? You didn't stick your head too far out the window, as a metaphor. You went, oh, God, bus lane. But then it was a super big success. Bike lanes, a few, nice neighborhoods, and effective transport in the form of BRT. That went fast, and nobody could complain, so that was awesome. But that still was top down, right? And but I was at a conference speaking to speaking with the guy who is in charge of the transformation of Seville to a bicycle-friendly city, and a mayor of the borough of the Plateau in Montreal, 100,000 people, not the whole Montreal, but just one big part of it. And they've done visionary stuff. And somebody in the audience said, "How do you do it? Like, my God." And the one guy says, "You just do it." And the mayor in Montreal, he says, "You just do it fast and you leave something green behind." And everybody laughed, but it's true. You bike lanes, fuck bike lane, I want bike lanes. Oh, but wait, the grass is nice, and there's a new tree. And wait, they took a parking spot, but oh wait, now there's a bench with foliage. And then so it's not just bikes. You got to do the big picture with it. So you kind of sneak bikes into the greening of the city or the traffic calming of the city, right? But still, it's always top down. But the momentum is changing. Like America was really late to this conversation. Oh, that's Europe. Europe. And then now American cities are really, and many of them are accelerating fast with putting in Dutch-style intersections or shared space streets or, Copenhagen-style infrastructure. I mean, it's like once America does something good, it does it well. Also, when they do bad things, they do it very fast and very well. So really, I mean, the mayor of Cologne here, living in this region where she's surrounded by mayors just like her, her source of inspiration doesn't extend very far. And she says, oh, Dusseldorf, Stuttgart, they're all doing the same thing. I don't have to do anything. But if you're in another city, like in Spain, there was like a wildfire through Spain like 9 years ago. They all had left governments come in and they all went boom, everything, bikes everywhere in Spain. It was amazing. So it is that momentum. And if Cologne, and Stuttgart and Dusseldorf, they kind of feel they're big cities, so they feel like they're global cities in a way. But the globe is now doing different stuff. And like I always say, it's getting awkward. It's really getting really uncomfortable if your city is not doing anything. Like Venloer Straße. Like, that is the main route for cycling into the city. 27% of all the traffic on that street leading to the city in the morning is bikes. Why is that not a Fahrradstraße or just a bike street? Like just only bikes and pedestrians. Maybe a bus if you need to have buses there. I don't know. Like why, that would be legendary and that would really, once you do one thing, you can do, the second time is easier. The citizens will be like, fuck, another one of those things. But okay, that one I see how that works. Like we understand it, right? I can see it. So second time is easier. I was just in Łódź in Poland with the L, like Lodz. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Łódź apparently. And they put in a wundert, where cars can still drive down the street, but they have to do like a slalom. And there's people walking and bikes and everything. And that first one was a battle, and now they're doing 3 more. Like now everybody's going, oh, another one of those streets. Okay, I've driven down that street. I mean, I get it now. So you just got to do one big thing, and then everything else is easy.
Did they tell you that the CDU, the right-wing party here, has proposed to make the Venloer Straße to a one-direction street?
One-way street? No. One-way street. That would help, but like, why not force the change that you need here? Like, it would reduce the number of cars, sure, but, and that would create more space for bike lanes, 1 lane of cars, not more than that. I mean, so you'd get more room, sure, but like, man, that street, you got people sitting there out in an outdoor cafe with a traffic jam 2 meters away. Like, is that a healthy life? Breathing fossil fuels.
This is city life.
Oh, yeah, city life. Boy. Yeah. Like, everybody's doing it.
Hast du was gefunden?
Well, what do you think? How can one bring a mayor to be to enlighten them? Will it help when she visits Copenhagen?
Yeah, I mean, there's almost data to support it, right? There is an organization in the States who had a lot of funding, so they could select 6 cities, small and large, and bring them on study trips to Amsterdam and Copenhagen, and then send them home and going, do that. Do whatever you saw, do that at home. And the cities that are doing the most, it's almost measurable that, Cincinnati or Akron, Ohio. Wow, they're doing what? Yeah, Akron sent politicians, planners, and engineers. And you can almost see, you can basically see the data. So yeah, we, saying we meaning when I was working at the company, was it last year? Well, we had a delegation from Parma. We had a delegation from Bordeaux, including the Lord Mayor, a very famous politician in France, Michel Juppé. He came, and he said, I'm coming. Like, Bordeaux is doing amazing stuff too, right? Yeah, you can see it, man. Because you can talk all day long. And I also said to the mayor, I said, don't send politicians. Because they're going to go, interesting, very interesting. Where are we going to eat tonight? Let's drink some wine. And they'll go back and they'll sit together in their room saying, that was a cool trip, totally cool. And then nothing happens. You got to send your planners, your engineers, your politicians, and the local activists. And all these people who never sit in the same room together, and then they're forced to sit together and learn the same thing for 2 days. When they get home, what I know from experience, they're saying the conversation changed. You're in the canteen at the office, or you bump into the politician on the hallway, and you're the planner going, hey, thanks for the last time, it was great, yeah, wow, cool. And then at the next meeting, where people are sitting, bikes, but I was in Copenhagen, yeah, we were in Copenhagen together, and and it just changes the conversation inside a very boring work structure where the engineers talk to engineers, except for some meetings where those stupid planners are coming in and whatever. And all of a sudden you create a different dynamic. And that's what I have seen change things in a city. That's where the cities go home and go, yeah, I get it now. Okay, I can watch Copenhagen on YouTube, but man, I got like a 7-year-old kid. This one American guy told me, he says, you got 5 and 6-year-old kids riding better than American adults and straight as arrows, and they're passing you, and the mother's passing you with grocery on her handlebars, and you're going, I can ride a bike, I'm so awesome at riding a bike. Oh my God, I'm getting passed by, mothers with children. Okay, and why are they doing this? Because they feel safe, right? It just opens your mind, There's a great film. Do you know Street Films? Streetfilms.org. He's done like almost 1,000 films from all over the world about urbanism, but this one film he did in 2010 at the Velo City in Copenhagen, he only interviewed North Americans. He didn't sort of talk to the Europeans going, oh, Europe's so awesome, Copenhagen's so awesome. He only talked to the planners and politicians from around North America. What do you think about Copenhagen? And they're all going, I get it now. One of them said, I get it. And one of them was the guy who said, 5 and 6-year-old kid, like what the fuck, I get it. Everything in the whole conversation, the narrative in America changed because of that film. Like, all of a sudden it was like, that's our people saying it's awesome. It's not those, arrogant Europeans thinking they're better than us, which we are, but, and that, man, so that's another example of once you see it, and once, we...
You can relate to them because they are people like you.
That's it, yeah. And you just see how it works, right? I can, drink this Riesling, and I'm sure it's nice. But if I could go and see how they make it and talk to the man and visit the vineyard. I don't do that. I just drink the fucking wine, right? But you get a greater understanding of anything if you actually see it work in live and up front and personal, right? So, man, I've heard a lot of mayors say this. Okay, cool, we're gonna go but she didn't actually say it to me. She looked to her assistant, she's going, Copenhagen, get his details. She went over there to another guy and said, we're going to Copenhagen, to her chief planner. So that might happen. So let's hope. Because I said to her, she's going, Detroit is our inspiration. I'm going, 1 million people left Detroit in the past 20 years. There is nothing there. There are 6-lane streets with 4 cars an hour. Like, you can't compare yourself to fucking Detroit, man. Copenhagen. And she says, how old is Copenhagen? I'm going, it's 1,500 years, 1,500? She's going, like, she didn't know about Copenhagen. I'm not disrespecting her. I'm just saying, oh, wow. I know about Cologne, the Romans and the shit. Oh, okay. I'm going, it's the same. It's a medieval city center with 20th century infrastructure. Well, the Roman roads, but which are now 20th century. That's Copenhagen. It's like, we're about the same size. We're like 650,000, 2 million in the metro area. And she went, wow. I said, that's your inspiration. It's a city that does it well, and it looks like your city, and copy-paste that shit.
Okay, Okay, das war unser Interview zum Thema E-Bikes, E-Scooter, Leute in der Stadt und Aktivismus. Und zum Schluss haben wir uns noch kurz darüber unterhalten, wie wir denn oder wie man am besten nach Kopenhagen kommt, und wir kamen auf das Thema Fliegen und wir kamen auf die Fridays for Future Bewegung und den Klimaschutz, und Michaels Meinung dazu möchte ich euch nicht vorenthalten.
I am a very environmentally aware man. I respect science. I use it in my work, data. Then all this stop flying, narrative began recently. It's been there a while, but it's kind of accelerating. And it's all coming out of Germany and Sweden, which are both car-producing nations. So I really want some hacker to try and figure out if how much the car industry is like subsidizing this movement. That'd be like my Edward Snowden moment, I think. But I can't prove it, obviously. But I've seen other stuff before. You kind of go, it's kind of. Oh yeah, let's all stop flying, says the automobile industry. Awesome, because then you have to drive a car, right? Duh. We know how they work. But yeah, so I can't prove that, but I have suspicions. But then I started looking into it because I was curious about this, Flying is the worst thing you can do, and it's just like, it's really kind of hysterical. And it's like e-bikes. Oh, e-bikes are going to save the world. And okay, wherever there's hype, Michael's reaction is, there's another story behind the hype. There's there's more meat between the bread. Let's find that. So I started looking at it and like, what the fuck, man? I have this graph. I know it's a podcast, but well, now it's a podcast. I found this one graph. It's from French TV3 scientific program, and on this graph it shows global emissions since 1970. Mm-hmm. At the bottom, you have shipping, trains, and planes, and they're kind of going up near the end here in 2010, but it's stable. And look at the big elephant in the room that nobody's fucking talking about: road transport. 72% of global emissions since 1970. It's just going up through the roof. It's not stopping. Like, the chart isn't even big enough. The graph is, it's out of space. Why are we not talking about that? Where is the conversation? If we have to start somewhere, we're never going to do everything all at once. If we have to really take it seriously, we need to use cities to fight climate change, and that is reducing cars in cities. And then later we can tackle flying. I've also seen other graphs. Like, once you start, if you Google "flying is bad," right? ? Then you're going to get the results that you want. If you say, if you Google it in a more intelligent way, you actually get not conflicting, but the jury is out, right? And then you realize that there's a bigger fish to fry. So I'm just looking. I'm going, wait. It's not that bad as the hysterical environmental campaigners are telling us. And my joke is that a lot of these people live alone with cats they don't have anywhere to fly anyway, or any friends. They have no money to fly. So of course now flying's bad because I can't afford it and I can't leave my cat. It'll die. So it's really a lot of these. But now that narrative is accelerating, and we have to be careful. We have to be rational. Road transport is where we start, and then later. In 40 years, 50 years, when we finally got that graph down to an intelligent level and people's lives are being saved and improved, then we can talk about flying. And you get your carbon footprint measuring, all these fucking websites where you type in all your stuff and, oh, you're a sinner. I've done like 6 of them to see if there's any correlation in the data. It's like they all give you a different result. So who's doing this? I don't know. Nobody talks about the social, right? We are spread out around the world, Like, my family lives in Canada, right? And my last 2 relationships were long-distance relationships. I prefer to be with my girlfriends than only Skyping with them, And so, yeah, nobody talks about that. There's the goods movement of goods, which is an economic thing that we have to also consider. Not many goods move on airplanes, but still. And the whole experienced in another culture? How do you measure that in a carbon footprint? You can, it's hard, right? But we have to figure that out. We have to have that conversation. Going to Mexico and visiting, some amazing historical thing, you're going, wow, the Aztecs were brilliant. Wow, I learned something. And I ate Mexican food, but I didn't know they had amazing food, and I met Mexicans and whatever, right? You come home enriched. Travel, all the great writers, Hans Christian Andersen wrote, to travel is to live. And now they're telling us that we can't travel. We have to take a train 2 hours down the road to another city that looks like ours, meeting the same people, that's not traveling. Sure, you can take a train to Barcelona, but man, we're losing that. And the whole families, bringing them together, You travel, you meet a girlfriend from Argentina, and she comes back to live with you, or you go there. And you got to come back and see your family. That's a reality in our lives. And airlines are not big auto. They are not big tobacco. They are not like this great evil, because most airlines have a real problem earning money, right? And maybe we should have more tax on air, fine, and make it a bit more expensive, fine. But it's not like they're not like the great Satan in the room like the automobile industry is. They're just trying to make money. Most airlines it's tough. So I'm really, really thinking how to make some kind of a scientific, data about how the social aspect, the importance of traveling and experiencing other cultures in order to reduce, racism and hatred and, national boundaries, families coming to, all of that. How do you build that into the whole? Flying is bad. It's like, and I talk to these people, the real environmental campaigners. Oh, I spoke to this young girl in Oslo. She did the opening of this huge conference called Urban Futures, which is every year. And she's famous for being like the Norwegian Greta Thunberg, and super cool to talk to. Incredibly intelligent young person. And man, that's our future, that generation, man. And then I'm going, yeah, but the science is, I found this science. She's going, your science is wrong. And I'm going, okay, if you want to really fucking piss me off, you tell me my science is wrong. Science isn't wrong. It just doesn't agree with your point of view, right? You can't say science is wrong. Well, you can if you're Donald Trump, but I'm saying, no, wait. I'm telling you that I'm challenging the science that you use by saying there's other science. So if you're going to fight for stuff, you got to actually read my science, and it might be painful for you because you're like, I'm 18, save the world. And I'm going, yeah, but you have to do that, right? Your generation just thinks you can fix everything, and you're not going to fix it if you don't actually know what you're talking about. I just got so depressed. I literally left the party. I was physically and mentally depressed from this conversation, which started save the world, man. I've been waiting for this generation, Oh, it was such a... So it really, and I said, but what about, let's tackle road transport first, right? I'm showing you the graph that I showed you here. She's going, we can fix everything. We can do it all. We have to do it all at once, man. The world's burning. Greta Thunberg says the world's burning. Greta Thunberg's awesome. But when you've, I guess you get sometimes, I really try not to be cynical, and I wake up as an optimist every morning and look for the good in cities and positive stories. But people are going to Greta Thunberg, she's awesome, and she is super important, love it. But I remember the Rio Summit, the first climate change conference, the first climate conference in Rio de Janeiro 25 years ago, 1990, 28 years ago. There was a young woman, 13, who did a speech to all the politicians of the world. It's still on YouTube. You can still cry when you watch it. Where's she? Well, I know her. She's the daughter of a very famous scientist in Canada, but nothing happened, man. Nothing happened. And so when you see a Greta Thunberg show up and all the optimism about her and her generation, when you've seen it before, you're kind of going, in the 60s, man, look at what all the power in the 60s and stuff. A lot of that worked well, but where is it now, right? So you get cynical when you've seen movements and revolutions show up, and then you're just back with the establishment after 20, 30 years, right? One of my friends is, he's one of the best writers on the planet about sustainability. Mm-hmm. His name is Chris Turner. He's from Canada. The book that opened my eyes to sustainability and environmentalism in a different way than the usual narrative is called The Geography of Hope. And then his next book is called The Leap. No more baby steps, let's make the leap. But I interviewed him for my podcast a couple weeks ago, and he's going, oh man, we're the same age. We have literally spent the last 25 years trying to convince people that climate change is real. 25 years of conversation and arguing and discussing, and we're finally almost there, except for some Americans. Now we move on from there. But he says it took us 25 years. And I mean, is the Greta Thunberg conversation going to last another 25 years, and then we have to start work again? You know what I mean? I don't know. That's where I am a cynic, I think, or I'm a very depressed man because I've seen great minds come and go, and nothing changed. So let's just be rational about it, man. Let's you can't attack, in any. I'm not a soldier, but you can't attack on all fronts all at once, right? I think that's maybe what happened to the Germans in the Second World War. They thought they could just go everywhere all at once, and then they learned pretty quickly, like, oh wait, that doesn't work. So let's find the tactical approach. That is road transport in cities. That is urbanism. That is cities fighting climate change. That's the front line. Cities are the front line for fighting climate change. And we'll worry about flying later, man. I think that's really a hard sell when I talk to people. But if you're rational and intelligent and you Google the right way, you're going to find stuff that's going to change your opinion. And you'll be more focused on where it's tactical and strategic to start first.
Das war mein Gespräch mit Mikael Colville-Anderson bei der Radcom in Köln am 1. Juni 2019. Vielen Dank fürs Zuhören. Ihr könnt das ganze Interview übrigens auch als Text lesen unter www.fahrrad.io.